What if Ohio State does not lose to Oregon? All of the other results, including Michigan's win against Ohio State in the final game of the regular season to clinch the Big Ten East, Michigan's win in the Big Ten championship game, and all the rest of Ohio State's results are exactly the same. Who makes the college football playoff in 2021 if Ohio State does not lose? CJ Stroud had them coming back. Remember? Like there was a little bit of life and a little bit of effort. And what's the, it's like I tell you what, if there were 5 quarters in that game, I feel like it's Mac Brown might have said it, it's like, I told our guys if there were 5 quarters in that game, we would have won it. Like there's something coachy in there. But if there were 5 quarters in Ohio State, Oregon, I don't know, Ohio State might have won that game. So if Ohio State beats Oregon, all the other scenarios are the same. Who makes the final college football playoff? A reminder that Ohio State on selection day finished at number 6 in the final college football playoff rankings. The very first release, they were number 5. That was, of course, after the loss. 4, all the way up to number 2 prior to the Michigan game. So with the Oregon loss, they were still at number 2 prior to that second loss to Michigan. So who makes the final 4 in that scenario where Ohio State beats Oregon?
So just for these scenarios, I do want to point out, we are assuming everything else is exactly the same.
Correct.
Right. So all other results are the same.
And I think this shows the fragility of some of college football. The fact that we can flip one result and have some major impact on the final playoff.
Tom Fornelli would have been the genius. His conspiracy theory of Cincinnati's not getting in, never getting in, no group of 5 would have been realized. We would have had Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia.
Yeah, I think Danny really nailed it there. We were very close to having a bit of a disaster scenario in college football in 2021. There are actually several that hinged just on one result, and the committee was quite fortunate that Tom did not end up being correct, and Danny did not. We didn't end up having to test Danny's 2-loss Alabama theory, which hey, maybe that's coming up. But Ohio State in that game had a 56% post-game win probability. So it is not outlandish to think they could have won. I mean, Chip's point is well taken, and they could have really won this thing in regulation had they been a little bit better with their execution inside of Oregon's 30-yard line. Definitely in this scenario, obviously, Bama, Michigan, and Georgia, and then Ohio State or Cincinnati. They were only separated by 2 spots, as Chip noted. So the Oregon win for Ohio State then would become a win over a 9-4 Oregon team, an Oregon team that would not have had that high early season rating to carry it throughout. It kind of had some helium throughout the year because it did have that head-to-head over Ohio State. However, I think because they won the Pac-12 North, even though that was not a great division this year, certainly with Washington and Stanford and those guys and the Washington State chaos, I think that the 9-4 Oregon team is probably still ranked, right?
Yes.
I would guess that one of the losses would be the championship game.
Yeah, and the loss, they were up to number 3 in the college football playoff rankings prior to the regular season loss to Utah. The regular season loss to Utah knocked them down to number 11. And then after the conference championship game loss to Utah, they finished selection day at number 14.
So, right. So here's how I think this would go. Hey, this game was all snowy. It was a close game for most of it. Michigan blew it open late. Ohio State was undefeated until this point, and I do think Cincinnati gets bounced in this scenario. And to have 2 rematches from the regular season as the Final Four, you want to talk about devaluing the regular season, right? Hey, don't expand to 12. 4 keeps the prestige of the regular season alive. Guys, we were.
I had it seeded differently. I had it seeded Alabama 1, Michigan 2, Georgia 3, Ohio State 4, setting up an Alabama, Ohio State, and a Michigan, Georgia, which, I mean, you want to talk about the conspiracy theory. Not only is Cincinnati out, but you've got ratings bonanza with Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan, Georgia. Of course, a game that we did get the opportunity to see. I figured that Michigan with the Big Ten championship would get the nod ahead of Georgia, who would just fall to number 3, Ohio State, which did not play for a championship, but whose only loss was to number 2 team. I thought that they would get in at number 4, Cincinnati at 5, and then Notre Dame at 6, with its only loss, of course, coming to Cincinnati. That one would have been incredible. So notes from Corey on that one. Is this the doomsday scenario of two SEC, two Big Ten teams? I believe that this would be very bad for college football, but also unavoidable in this scenario. So,
yeah, would it be? I don't know if that would have been bad for college football. Like to have Cincinnati get left out over, I don't know. I get it. Like I would have been, trust me, I would have been pounding the table too. Like, how can they get screwed over? But is that a bad Final Four?
No, it's it's extremely entertaining. But when there was too much conversation around Cincinnati all season, started in August, and we carried it through the year, and for it to end like that, I mean, that would have made Mike Oresco's notes in his letter to college football
way more poignant.
Yes, 100%. Which speaks to your point, Danny, about the timing.